Welcome to a new video. I am back on the bank and you join me on the most incredible day-ticket lake I think I've fished. It is an absolute magical water, stunning surroundings and some insanely nice fish to back it up. I absolutely love this place. I have fallen in love with it, and this is the mighty Horseshoe Lake in Lechlade, owned by the Carp Society. Now, I have done a couple of sessions on it already. This is going to be session number 3. The first session was a bit of a result, had a nice hit of fish, and the second one not so good, but I did manage a PB tench, well, I equaled my PB, so that was a nice result, not far off a £10. So yeah, really happy with that, and I've just really enjoyed the fishing on here. So I've come back for another go and see if we can have one. Now, the conditions are a little bit tricky. There is a big wind on, hacking down the far end of the lake, but it has been very warm, and I don't think the fish are going to be massively on the feed. But I've had a massive walk around, walked around Summer Bay, Winter Bay, looked all up in the trees and sneaked around, sort of seeing if I can find some fish close in. I've been kind of looking for a stalking opportunity because I think that might be the best way to go initially while the weather is so warm. But I haven't seen anything at the top end of the lake, but I've come down the bottom end of the lake on the end of the wind, and I have seen a couple of fish going along the margins, and one of them looked like an absolute chunk, if I'm honest. It really did. So there might be a chance of catching that absolute unit. But anyway, what I need to do is I need to get a rod in position. So I'm going to lower a rod in the margin, just fish it on a little bit of sweet corn, put a very small amount of sweet corn over the top of it, and just see if I can nick a really quick bite to start the session off. If that doesn't work, I might look at them moving up into more open water, maybe finding a spot and fishing that for the night. But for the time being, let's see if we can get ourselves a quick bite. Let's make it happen. Let's try and catch one of these absolute mega fish that reside in there. So yeah, let's get the gear out. Let's get a rod in position. Let's catch a carp. What I'm going to do, without making this too obvious, is there's basically a bank of reeds going out here, and the fish have been coming along just on the edge of those reeds, and there's actually a nice clear bottom along here. And what I'm going to do is basically just put it along the edge of these reeds, so the line will drop down along the side of the reeds, so the fish are not going to come across the line at all. And then the hook bait in the rig is going to sit just the other side of the reeds. So as the fish come through, they should hit the rig first and not go anywhere near the line. So let's see if we can put theory into practice. Now, we obviously need to check there's nothing around. I can't see anything. Now, the fish I did see, I'll be honest, it looked quite good. I think this is kind of why I'm doing this, because the fish I saw moving through, it did actually look like a really nice fish, and I think it was probably a better fish just on the edge of the on the end of the wind, just sort of cruising through along this shelf where it's nice and quiet and there's no angling pressure. So what I'm going to do is just see if I can give myself a long enough drop, and hopefully I can just swing it and lower it like that. That's perfect. And then I'm going to push the line right down towards the lake bed just to try and get it sunk. So I'm going to just tighten it down a bit with the tip down towards the bottom, and then slacken it off. Yeah, so that's hanging down nice there. And I'm going to just put it here like this. I'm sure the take, if I get one, is going to probably be pretty violent, because it's probably not going to expect to get hooked there. Right, we just need to set that. So I need to obviously have a nice loose clutch on the reel. Just get a little pinch of corn. Actually, just a couple at a time. Well, the kit is in the swim, as you can see, and I've tucked myself right at the back against the fence, so I'm right away from the edge of the water, because at the moment I've got a rod just dropped in this end swim real close in where I've seen the fish coming along. And what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to just fish in here for an hour or two, just fishing one rod, just seeing if I can stalk one at the edge. At the moment I've just got a couple of bits of corn on a bottom bait rig, just lowered in, and just scattered a pinch of corn around them just to see if anything comes along and I can nick a quick bite. Now, I haven't seen any since I've been back down here and actually got into the swim with the fishing gear, but I have seen a couple of fish roll. I don't know if they're tench or carp. They're not that big, so they might be tench, but there's a bit of activity down here, more than I've seen anywhere else, and obviously I have seen those fish cruising along that margin, so I'm hoping there's a chance of a bite on the card, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm going to just give it an hour or two, see what happens, and go from there. So we'll see if it goes rattling off. This bit of kit is an absolute weapon. This is the Plano 20 litre cool box, and they've brought them out in green this season, which obviously makes them a little bit carpier. They had been white previously, which obviously was a little bit too much of an eyesore on the bank, but now they've got these awesome green ones and they look carpy, they really do look the part, and they work very, very well. This is my second session on the bank and actually third time using it. So I used it at a birthday party for my son. He turned 4, and took this with us, put the birthday cake in it, some drinks and loads of other bits and bobs, and it kept it all nice and cold for that birthday party. And the last session I was out, I did a sort of overnighter, and it kept all the food and everything nice and cool, and kept the beer cool. And I brought it with me today, and it means the good old Thatcher's is absolutely freezing cold, perfect for a summer session doing a bit of carping. So yeah, mega bit of kit, highly recommend getting one, and definitely going to be on the front of the barrow from now on. Well, the rod's been out there for probably an hour and a half now. I have recast it about 20 minutes ago. I brought the rod in just to check it was presented well. To be fair, the corn looked quite well presented. There was a little bit of sort of siltweed on the lead and a little bit on the hook length, so it could have been hung up in the weed, I'm not sure. But what I've done is I've actually switched it over and put on a pop-up, a yellow pop-up, so it still matches the colour of the corn, doesn't look too blatant, but also it does stand out, so if a fish comes through, it might give it that sort of instinctive sort of reaction to drop down and nail it. Well, that's the plan. But that's been out there for maybe 20 minutes now. I think what I'm going to do is give it another 10 minutes or so. I haven't seen anything come through, if I'm honest. I've kind of been stood up against these trees on this right hand side of the swim, which is sort of blocking my silhouette basically. I've just been sort of watching with the Polaroids on, just seeing if anything coming through, and I haven't really seen anything come through. At the same time, I've also sort of, well, not the same time, but I've also been sort of standing on the extreme over on the left, looking up the lake, just to see if I can see anything showing sort of further up the lake in open water, and I've not seen a single fish show. I have seen a lot of bird activity, sort of diving and moving through the centre of the lake, but I've not actually seen any fish as such. So at the moment, I'm pondering what to do. I'm not quite sure whether to sort of stay down this end and maybe just sort of find a spot and put a little bit of bait in and sort of fish the night down here, or whether to go further up the lake and sort of fish more into open water instead of sort of being penned down into this corner. So I don't think there's a huge amount of fish down here. I think it's just a few fish scattered around, moving along. Obviously I'm just trying to get that opportunistic bite, but one of the fish I saw was an absolute banging fish when I first sort of come down here, when I was initially looking around, and it was a bit of a chunk. So there's clearly the odd better one down here, but I don't know if they're really up for it, and there's not a huge amount here, so I might sort of, there might not be enough really to get a bite, but I'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm going to give it another 10-15 minutes, and then I might bring that rod in and sort of get back on the barrow and maybe go a bit further back up the lake and have a little watch up there and just see if there's anything giving itself away. But yeah, that's kind of what we're doing at the moment. So just trying the best we can, and hopefully we'll end up with a fish by the time we go tomorrow morning. So it's all to play for still. Let's see if it happens. Well, I think it has probably got to that point of the session, to be honest. And well, I didn't really want to do it, but I feel like I have to. I'm going to have to crack open a cider. Of course, why not? Oh. Now we're fishing. Cheers. That's the stuff. Right, well, I've moved out of the corner. I'm a couple of swims up where it's a bit more open water, and it looks like the entire population of geese in Lechlade are on the lake. There are absolute stacks of them out there. Gotta be 100 at least. Look, just absolutely everywhere down the centre of the lake. Crazy. I've still not really decided what I'm going to do. I was kind of hoping I might see something show, but at the moment I've not really seen anything. There's fish scattered around for sure, but I'm just not really sure what to commit to at the moment. But I could really do with seeing a couple of fish sort of bosh out to give me an indication of where to get in. But I'm kind of looking here, sort of straight up the lake, not really seen anything. Just geese. Probably catch one of them. Bit of bread. What to do, eh? What to do? Right, I've decided to try a little bit further up from where I was, only a couple of swims, but I think I've seen a couple of fish show. So the first thing I need to do is obviously find an area to fish to. So I'm going to have a little flick around. This is clipped up. Whoa, Jesus. Clipped up really short range. Oh, hello. There's just no one down this end. Right, that there feels lovely. If that's a spot I find straight away, that's an absolute winner. And that's the kind of distance I want to fish. I don't want to fish far out, I want to fish closer in, because the fish I've seen have been along this bank at shorter range on this wind, and that's kind of where I think I've probably got my best chance. So I don't actually want to fish far out. I'm getting a lovely drop there. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it is coming back quite nice. It's not clear, it's just low level weed basically. So on these weedy lakes, what I do is I use one of these grapple leads, which have basically got 4 spikes, and they are literally 4 quite thick wire spikes, a bit like a gripper lead you would use when fishing in the sea to hold bottom in heavy tide, but these are fixed, so as you pull them back you basically pull it through any debris on the bottom and you can bring back what's out there, and it gives you an indication of how clear or how dirty the lake bed is by how hung up it gets. And as you can see, that's hung up. So that is weedy. It's silkweed, absolutely rammed full of food. Oh god, it just glides back now. Literally, absolutely glides back. Right, well the light is very much going, but the rods are going out. Number one. Well, as you can see, it's well and truly dark, and I've not been updating much since obviously moving, so I decided to move from the swim down in the bottom corner on this bank after doing that bit of stalking. It didn't end up resulting in anything, unfortunately, but it was definitely worth the effort, and it's something that I want to do more of, because I used to do loads of stalking back when I was younger, and I haven't done it for quite a long time because a lot of day tickets are so busy. But this lake actually lends itself to it quite well, because it's very big. A lot of areas you can get to where people sort of aren't really interested in, and there are fish sort of sneaking about, and there's opportunity to be had. But anyway, what I've done is I've actually moved up about, I think, 3 swims into an area where there's a bit more open water, and I actually saw a fish roll. It's the only fish I've seen show, which is why I got in here. I think I was watching till about 9:15, so I had maybe an hour of light to get things sorted. I then spent probably 30 minutes, I reckon, leading around, but not because I was trying to find a spot. I actually found a spot or something that felt quite nice quite quickly, but it was covered in a lot of silkweed, and I put on the lead with the prongs, basically just kept recasting it and using it as basically a weed rake, and I was just cleaning off that area to the point where the lead eventually was actually pulling back quite smooth, when initially it was just getting hung up. So I think I've cleared off quite a nice little spot. It's a very small spot, but I've managed to get a couple of rods on it. I've got them on some Ronnies on little pop-ups, and I've put about 10 spods over the top of that. So I'm feeling pretty confident. There was loads of naturals in this silkweed, and there was a lot of silk coming back as well, full of bloodworm. I was getting bloodworm coming back, so it looks like a banging little area, and I've hopefully stirred it up, get the fish interested in it, and with that bait there as well, I'm hoping that they'll show some interest if they do come through here. So the wind's actually died off now, which is a bit of a shame, because it was pushing down here absolutely lovely, but it's supposed to, I think, pick up again at first light, and then I think by about 11-12 o'clock it's going to switch, I think, and go completely up the other end. But by that point I will actually be packed down and looking at heading home. But I think I just heard a fish show. Yeah, it wasn't a bird. I've just heard a fish show out in front of me. Oh, that is absolutely banging. Yeah, that was definitely a fish show. Get in there. And on that note, anyway, I'll tell you a bit more about what I've been doing in the morning when it's light and I can sort of concentrate on what I'm doing, because at the moment I'm getting attacked by insects. There's such a swarm of insects around. They're attracted to the light big time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and polish off my tin of Thatcher's, and then I'm going to get my head down and hopefully be woken up by a fish before first light. But if not, I'll update you in the morning with a coffee as per normal and talk you through what I'm going to do for the morning before I have to shoot off. So yeah, let's go and polish off that Thatcher's, and hopefully I will see you with a fish before it gets too light. If not, I'll see you with a coffee. Anyway, I'll be seeing you. See you in the morning. Well, good morning then, and guess what? We've had a bite. Come on. The left-hand rod dropped back this morning, the bobbin smashed the deck, I jumped out of the bag, picked up the rod, and basically lent into some resistance, and then realised that, yeah, it was just weed. So, yeah, I've been done, basically. So it's a coffee update. I've got no fish. Yeah, sorry about that. A little bit of a high to a low, but it is what it is. Yeah, but it's nice to have a bite. Potentially, it was a tench. I'm not too sure, but I've seen it, well, I think one carp, but the tench in there are quite big, and it was a bit further out, so I'm not 100% if it was a carp or not. Yesterday when I was doing a bit of stalking in that left-hand corner down that way, there were a lot of tench down there, definitely a lot of tench down there, and it could be that that's actually what's picked up this morning. But at the same time, I did see one carp show yesterday evening, and that's why I got into this swim. So there is a few down here, I believe. I just don't think they're down here in numbers. It's probably just a group that prefer being down on the wind, whereas there's probably other stock of fish, or the bulk of fish are possibly further back up the lake from sort of once I came. But anyway, we've had a bite. Something's happened. It was a bit exciting for a few seconds, but yeah, at the moment we are still fishless. But I'm still confident that there's a chance of a bite though. The wind's coming down lovely again now. It went flat calm last night. We actually had quite a bit of rain. We've had a bit of rain this morning as well, but it's still nice and mild. In the t-shirt, it's overcast. It actually looks really good for it, if I'm honest. So if I was on any other venue at the moment on the end of the wind like this in these conditions, I would be absolutely buzzing that something was going to happen. But it seems strange. I actually fished on the wind the last time I was here, and I only caught a tench. So I'm starting to wonder whether the fish on here aren't really following the wind, and that it is the tench following the wind, and the shows I'm seeing could possibly be the tench. There are some very, very big ones in here. They go into the double figures, so you know, a double figure tench rolling is probably going to look like a carp. So it could be that, you know, who knows. But anyway, I've got the morning to fish, so we've still got plenty of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to polish off the coffee and just keep my eyes on the water as much as possible, and let's hope one of those rods does go rattling off, and we can put one in the net. But anyway, let's see how it goes. Fingers are crossed. So this is what I pulled in off the spot when I was leading around, and I was making multiple casts with the gripper lead, just pulling it back and bringing back this stuff. And this is obviously the silkweed out on the bottom, and it's basically exposed that silt that is out there and left me with quite a nice spot. Now it's not a perfect spot, there is still some of this out there. You know, I'd probably need a proper rake and throw it several times to clear it off properly, but it exposed it quite a lot. As you can see, it's quite a nice chunk there that I've pulled in. That's probably about 15 or 20 casts worth, and I was eventually pulling back quite smooth, bang on the spot. So yeah, nice little bit of work there to try and make the spot more presentable. It takes a bit of time, does cause a bit of disturbance, but sometimes it can pay off. And I just wanted to show you this as well. So over here where the rods are, so these are a new set of rods. So I have currently got new rod syndrome. So normally when you bring out new rods, you end up blanking for your first session. But yeah, these are the 10-foot ProLogic C series rods. These are the compacts, so they're retractable. So the butt section retracts back into the handle. But these are the cork ones, so I've used the ones with the standard handles with like the little abbreviated ends on them, which are basically sort of like just a black finish all the way through, which are really nice. Use them on local waters, like small venues. I've got a set in 2.75 pounds, so they're nice soft rods. I've also got a set of 10-foot elements, which are sort of the next level up from these, and they are retractable as well, 10 foot 3.5, and they've got a little bit more power than what these guys have, because these are 10 foot 3 1/4. But they're lovely rods. Hugh's been using a set of these for a season or so, and he really likes them, and I thought I'd get myself a set of them for fishing sort of smaller venues. Now they're a bit undergun for on here, but I wanted to get them out and have a go with them, so why not? Luckily I'm not fishing too far out today either, so it hasn't sort of affected the fishing. But there you can see the rods going out to the spot. You can see them kind of tram lining out to the spot, which is just out bang in the centre of that gap out there on the tree line. That's where I'm fishing, not very far out. But at the moment we've had the one bite which resulted in nothing, and other than that we're currently blanking. I haven't got long left either. I've only got about an hour to go, so I'm actually going to get everything packed down now and yeah, sort of get ready to get going. But you never know, it might go off in a dying hour of the day, and maybe we'll have one. But there we go, that's what I'm using. Just give you a bit of an idea at the hardware. So they look nice, don't they? Well, it's pretty much the end of the session now. I have still got the rods out, but I've packed the bivvy and everything down. Everything is loaded up on the power barrow, ready to shoot back to the van. Unfortunately, it's not happened, and I've clearly got it wrong. Now, obviously I had a good go at stalking yesterday. Bit unfortunate, but I think the fish that I'd seen had probably left before it even started, but that is what it is. We try. And although I've seen the odd fish, I think in this area, there's clearly not many here in numbers, which has obviously meant I haven't had anything. Now, I did have obviously that bite this morning. I think it's probably going to be a tench. I think maybe it was a like erratic tench, shook its head, dumped the rig, it's barbless, and it's got away with it potentially. So that's what I'm putting it down to. I'm not sure if it really was a carp, although I do think I have seen a carp down here. They're definitely not here in numbers. I think they're probably further up the lake. Maybe I should have got in up the other end, even though I didn't really see anything up there. A lot of guys were up there and they had said that fish had been getting caught up there, but I didn't want to get in where I hadn't seen them. Whereas when I come down here, I've seen a few fish, seen them down in that corner, did a bit of stalking. Didn't work, but it was nice to try. And I just fished with my eyes, which is what I do. You know, I watch the water. I don't like following what other people tell me. I like to go off of what I see and fish for myself, because I fish on my own terms, like everyone should. You know, don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about other people saying. Just fish on your own terms. Enjoy it for yourself and fish in the way you want to fish. Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what we're doing it for. Anyway. Yes, it's a blank, it's a bit unfortunate, but it's a mega place, absolutely love it on here, and it just means it's going to give me that determination to come back once again and get to fish this mega place, because it is a lovely, lovely venue. I absolutely love it on here. The banks are near enough immaculate, the condition of the venue is so good, the fish are such nice fish. And it's just a really nice quiet day ticket. You know, most day tickets are busy, they're noisy, you get a lot of groups of people, it's loud. On here, it's more like a syndicate vibe, even though it's a day ticket fishery. It's probably the closest you are going to get to a syndicate other than being on a syndicate. So if you are a day ticket angler and you haven't got any syndicates, come down to Horseshoe in Lechlade, give it a go. It is a lovely place, you won't be disappointed. And yeah, come down and fill your boots. Anyway, that is the end of the session. Hopefully you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, then smash that subscribe button, show us some love. And also remember that if you are a subscriber, you've got a chance of winning our monthly competition. So get involved in those. So until next week, a Tuesday at 6:30 for another upload. I'll be seeing you then. Get out there, be lucky. See you next week.